Fredo Disco, and you're watching Heavy New York.
Heavy New York!
What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are finally doing an interview at the one and only Rough Trade in Brooklyn, and the first interview here is with Fredo Disco. Thank you for your time today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. So your latest full-length album is very cool music for very cool people, but you also released 2 new singles recently. So could these 2 new singles, are they considered to be like maybe B-sides off very cool music, or are they like an indication of what like the next record is going to sound like?
They're more like the next sound. Very Cool Music, Very Cool People was recorded at Populist Recording Studios. We did everything that we did before that. School Spirit, the Disco Ink EP, What a Year, everything at that studio. And then these last 2 singles were at the Headroom in Philly. We recorded with Kyle Pulley and Joe Reinhardt. It was super cool. Big fan of their work. And we're also hopefully going to go record a few more and put out an EP this summer. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, so they're a newer sound.
Yeah. Did working in a new studio maybe like open up new ideas or maybe completely alter like the way you make music?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, all the stuff we were doing before we had the engineer help us a little bit, but it was pretty much whatever we wanted to happen was what was going to happen. Working with Joe, he was the engineer for the session. It was awesome, and he really like helped us kind of grow the songs as they did. The first day, we just basically rewrote all the drum and the bass parts for both the songs, and like got them to where they sounded exactly like we wanted them to sound like. So it was a whole process versus just going into the studio recording what we have.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people like, you know, on the periodic table of music subgenres, like, you know, people like label use like indie rock or alternative, but I thought like, you know, like on the Very Cool Music record, I thought like the song Dad Jeans, I think it is, with compared to a song like Jimbo or something like that. Like just those 2 tracks alone and the whole album, I saw many different vibes, many different sounds. So it's fair to say you like to experiment with your style as much as you can, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we don't really fit into the indie or the punk or like the rock or pop. We don't really fit anywhere exactly yet, and I'm happy with that, honestly. I'd rather be doing a whole bunch of different things and touching on different themes than doing the same thing for 12 songs. But which, I mean, obviously that works too, but that's just not the way that we are aiming to go for the next project. Yeah.
Do you ever go into like songwriting with a preconceived idea, or is there like a lot of improvising involved?
Oh, always have pretty much know what we're going to be doing. The way we write our songs is I'll write like the chords, the lyrics, the melody, then like pretty much like the bass, not the bass line, but the bass of the song. And then I'll bring it to the band and we'll just kind of run stuff there. I usually have some kind of idea of what I want it to sound like full band, but all the full band writing process is always with an idea already pretty much completely formed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, do you like, when it comes to like lyrics, is there ever a time where maybe a subject matter or a concept could determine the outcome of the composition itself?
I actually pretty much only write my lyrics first. I always write lyrics first. I usually write my lyrics without an instrument, and so when I first start writing songs, I just write it in my head first. I kind of like picture lyrics, melody, and the chords all at the same time and write it all as like a big chunk, and then I go into like Google Keep or whatever and write it all down there and let it kind of marinate in my head for a little bit, and then I'll go record a demo and show it to the band.
You ever worried that like you'll have like the best lyrics ever and just see how they like go one syllable over every arrangement that's written?
Oh yeah, that happens. That happens sometimes. That's why I kind of mash words up sometimes, speak a little quickly, or fuck with the sorry if I was going to say that, but I mess with the structure of like the lyrics and stuff like that, the syllables. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. When it comes to getting like inspired either to write lyrics or even just write music in general, is there like do you have to put yourself in a certain element in order for like ideas to come, or do you just think of ideas like out of nowhere?
It's pretty sporadic. I mean, like 3 of the songs that I wrote on Very Cool Music were written like minutes before I fell asleep. Like I was just laying in bed, trying to go to bed, trying to sleep, and then I got an idea and wrote it out in Google Keep, passed out, and woke up to whatever I had written the night before. So it's pretty sporadic. Yeah, sometimes I'll be like in the car, or I'll be at a friend's house or whatever, and like just wherever. It's no specific environment necessarily. I just haven't found the specific environment yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could the lyrics that you write be open to interpretation, or do you like the listener to maybe try to see things from your point of view in a way?
A little combination of the both, honestly. I like to write the song as like a story, right? So I like to write all my songs as stories. They're not really conceptual songs. Some of them are, like Jimbo's a concept song, and a couple of the other ones are too. But I think I tell a pretty clear story, but they're obviously open up to interpretation for whatever anybody wants to pull from them.
Yeah. If somebody though wants to like maybe understand what you're singing about, since you have like stories, is your music or even your albums, are they like Lord of the Rings? Like, would a person have a better like understanding if they like listen to like the EP or like?
Oh yeah. If you listen to What a Year, School Spirit, and Very Cool Music, Very Cool People, it tells a pretty it's a pretty clear story. It's a story. It's just like high school. That was what I was doing in high school, and that's what I was writing then. Now, I'm trying to see what it's like in real life outside of school. I'm not in college or anything like that. We're just touring, so it's a lot broader things to write about and kind of pack into an album versus the high school experience. You know.
Yeah. Well, as Billy Corgan said, now everything you write is just going to be about being on tour.
Yeah, trying to avoid that one, honestly. Gotta still be relatable while also being on tour and doing this thing that really isn't relatable to a lot of other people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thing I want to ask you might be kind of a silly question, but Fredo Disco. I know that's Disco's not your real last name. If it was, that would be badass.
Yeah.
But like, is that almost kind of like a character that you portray in the album or on stage, or like somebody completely outside of your element, or is it a direct extension of who you are?
It's a character that's influenced by who I am, actually. My real name is Fredo Fosco, and the project's called Fredo Disco because while I was making my I was like 16, I was making a SoundCloud, and I typed Fredo Fosco in. That was just going to be the name of it, and my phone auto-corrected Fosco to Disco, and that happened like all the time, and so I was like, fuck it, let's just Fredo Disco, that's the name, and then that ever stuck, yeah.
So you were a SoundCloud rock star before.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. SoundCloud rapper, hell yeah.
No, SoundCloud rock star, it's even better.
Rock star, there you go, yeah. So definitely, we got our start on SoundCloud just by uploading like acoustic. They were basically demos, just recording on my iPhone, and we put out like almost a song a week for almost an entire year, and just ran that through really hard, and then put a compilation of all those songs, recorded them in a studio, and put that on. That was School Spirit and What a Year. We recorded 14 songs in one day, me and Colin did, and put that out on Spotify. It did really well because we brought the SoundCloud audience over to our Spotify page, and Spotify liked that. So it's all done really well since then. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I was a SoundCloud journalist. I started off uploading podcasts on SoundCloud.
Cool,
so
nice.
it seems like SoundCloud's been like the gateway to like everybody moving forward, I guess.
I mean, now Spotify is like, you got DistroKid, which is like $20 for a year, and they don't take any cut from you. That's who I use for like all my old stuff. Shout out DistroKid. But it's so much easier to just use Spotify now than it is SoundCloud. And Spotify pays way more than SoundCloud does. I hate SoundCloud now. It's really whack now. But yeah, it was definitely a gateway for a lot of people. Yeah.
Can't forget your roots.
No, never. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a couple more questions for you. The most difficult question in the interview for every musician I ever ask. How do you know when a song is done?
When a song is done? I like to try and write my songs out in one sitting, right? Like I'll write the verse or the chorus or the verse, just get it all done, whatever the order is. And whenever that specific story of it is done, that's when the song is kind of done. I'll go back and revise things. We'll revise things with the band and everything, but it's really not done until it's recorded. And then we play it on tour, and we're like, shit, I just wish we did this differently. Yeah. So I don't really know. Yeah.
You try to capture a moment within your music. That's actually a good way of if you try to get it done in one sitting. Not to encourage people to rush anything at all, but like because I ask people who say they want to capture a moment, but if you're working on a song for like a week, like isn't like the moment gone?
Exactly. Yes. That's why when we started, we were doing a song. We were literally doing a song a week for 40 or 50 weeks in a row. There's like 40 tracks on our old SoundCloud that are just acoustic demos. And it was just stuff that I'd write, I'd record it on my iPhone, and then that was the upload. That was it. The first take that I'd run it through, that was what was going on to SoundCloud, because I wanted to get exactly what was going on right then. And it's a little harder to do that now because, it's like a process to write an album, get the full band thing done, put it out with a label and all that stuff. It takes like a lot longer than I would like it to, but I do think it's worth it because the final project is definitely cleaner, tighter, and more on point with what I want it to be for the long run.
Yeah. You ever worry like the songs too, like you leave on SoundCloud and never put out, are gonna be like a B-side one day, just be the biggest hit you guys ever had?
That's the thing with breadcrumbs. I like leaving little breadcrumbs on the internet, and if one of them gets picked up and people like it, then I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, no problem with that.
Yeah. And the final question I wanted to ask you is you know, when it comes to playing your material live, is there maybe a similar energy that you channel into the live presence as you do in your songwriting, or are they two completely separate arts altogether?
They're like really different. It's actually really weird. Some of the songs I can't sing, like Ghost of Marianos. That's a song that we usually close our set off with. That's a song off the Disco Ink EP that we did. I like can't sing that song when it's not live because it's the highest note is like I think it's a B, which is really that's like a very high note for my range. And I can't do it unless the energy of the crowd and the band and everything is there. During practice, I usually won't sing the high note, and then when we do it on stage, it's fine. It's very weird. Yeah. So definitely like writing is completely different than playing things on stage. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I noticed, you know, I had the honor of watching you guys sound check, and I was impressed with your method of execution. But do you try to execute it exactly how people are hearing it on the album, or do you like to maybe, you know, throw a couple extra things in there?
I like to like the cadence of things. Sometimes I'll change with slight melody things. I'll change in the songs, and then obviously like Max and Colin and Aiden, they'll change their parts as we play it live and figure out what works more. But we want to keep the core feel of what's going on with the album. I think that Very Cool Music for Very Cool People as a project, if you were to listen to it live or listen to it on an album, I think that we sound better on live just because we've had much more experience with playing those songs versus when we recorded them. But these newer songs, I think, is a little bit, I think they're pretty even. I think the live versions and the recorded versions are pretty much the same energy. Like we try to get them pretty close. Yeah.
And I guess the fulfillment factor is like a good day in the studio is just as good as a good day on stage.
Oh, yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe even better because that thing's lasting for years, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time today. Is there just anything else you would like to promote for Fredo Disco in terms of tours, if you're allowed to say, because this will be uploaded by midnight?
Okay, by midnight. All right. Well, we are on tour right now with Have Mercy, Young Culture, and Selfish Things, and we're playing 30 more shows after today, all across the whole U.S. It's the last Have Mercy tour, and if you guys are interested, you should definitely make it out. We got some new songs coming out this summer for you, and we'll be going into the studio in April or May, so maybe another tour after that then, but I can't say anything too much about it.
Yeah, because I know how it works. You probably have tours planned for like 2037.
I can't say anything.
But thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much.
Everybody, Fredo Disco, very cool music for very cool people. Pick that up if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.
Bye.